great moment in history as a fan. Looking back, he needed to be back in ECW. But you were there. You were right smack in the middle of this, as usual.
I'm always in the middle of everything, I guess. Yeah, this was, we welcomed him back. I think the company lacked without him. Like, Sandman was such an integral part of ECW for the longest time. So I was really happy to have him back. And the reaction of the arena was just deafening.
Magical. Now, when he left, and obviously WCW was giving guys insane contracts at the time, and we saw
large amount of money.
Oh, Public Enemy, Sandman, and Raven, Mikey, they were picking them off. Shane eventually. Shane went after everybody came back, basically. But when he left, was that just a gut blow to you guys, like from a morale point of view, that he was gone, or what?
I mean, when you look at the roster and you see all of our top stars being picked off, it does, pack a punch to your organization, not gonna lie. But nobody held any remorse. Not remorse, I'm sorry. Nobody held them, like, no one was mad that they left, because these guys all had families. And, Paul said it 100 times. He can't compete with Vince. He couldn't compete with, was it Ted Turner or whoever had the money at that point. So, like, I looked at it as they needed to go and better themselves financially for their families. And nobody held any ill will against them. You go where the money is. In my case, when WWF called me, I didn't feel like, number one, I didn't feel like I was ready because I was still too green. And number two, I was so comfortable that I didn't want to leave because I never aspired to work for WWF.
Right.
In their case, these are guys that are established. They need to make a living. They weren't getting enough money. When you're thrown a ridiculous amount of money, how could you say no?
Yeah,
they
guaranteed.
were paying, it was ridiculous what these people were making. Not saying they weren't worth it, but these contracts were just amazing. And I wasn't offered anything from WCW. So maybe if I was, and they offered me what they offered them, maybe I who knows? All I know is I was loyal till the end, but I would have loved to have made a ton of money in this business.
I bet you if they had the writing style that they would have in 99, 2000, when Hack and Mikey and Raven went to WCW, I bet you they would have brought you over in that same time period. But they didn't have that many women in the company. Like they had Nancy Benoit, they had Miss Elizabeth, and I think Deborah. But and Sherry. There wasn't a lot of other girls like there would be 2 years later.
When Shane was there, he told this story a couple weeks ago when we did our shoot interview together.
Oh, okay.
He was talking about when he went over to WCW, and he was, I don't know if it was on their part or Shane. I can't remember how it went, but somebody brought up that he needed somebody with him. And Shane said, well, put Tori with me, because he had a good relationship with Tori Wilson at the time.
Right.
And I looked at him and I was like, well, why didn't you say, well, let's call Francine up? Like, where was that at? You know what I mean? It never happened. I didn't say it on air, but I was just like, hey, Tori Wilson, like, it would have been great if I could have, reunited. But I don't know if I would have went, honestly. I don't know. Who knows back then?
It was a shit show at that point.
Well, again, everything was up in the air. I was loyal to a fault. And we all know, in my mind, I kept thinking it's going to work out. It's going to get better. And
right.
It never did. So that was my not being naive and my lack of knowledge about the business at that point.
Yeah. I just can remember, the fact that some guys look out of place in other areas, and it just didn't, like, especially even Mikey. I just didn't feel like, even though he was such a great worker and he could do so many good things, he just, to me, didn't feel like a WCW guy. He felt like an ECW guy to me. And you kind of, but now you take Saturn out of, ECW, put him in WCW, and I think Saturn was perfect at the time in WCW for what he did, and then he was TV champion, and they had him doing this and that with Raven. But certain guys, and Sandman would fall right into that class. I just cannot picture him outside of the company.
Yeah, I think it was the gimmick. You know, I think it's the way you portrayed yourself. You know, ECW was gritty. We had that underground feel to us, and WCW didn't have that. WCW was known as like, you know, the good old boys and the Atlanta Fed, and it's like a misplacement, so to speak. Right. So again, happy that they got the opportunity and made the money, but I was heartbroken every time somebody left, because we were a family and we were a tight-knit group, and you don't want to see your family members leave. So it was difficult.
Okay. I pulled the clip. Put your earphones. You might want to take them out a minute because it gets loud. Yeah. So this is from when the lights go out to just about when he pops the beer. Just listen to this. Listen to the crowd and how crazy you are not going to find this anywhere. Not crazy?
Yeah. I held them up and could hear it from across the room.
Deafening.
But yeah, that was a great pop, great moment at the arena, great moment for our company. So
is it the loudest one?
It depends on who you ask.
Okay. Well, I'm asking you.
If you ask Raven, his got the loudest pop at the Elks Lodge. If you ask me, I got the loudest pop going through the table. No, I think that might have been, that was loud. I think that might have been. But again, at this point with the company also, we were selling tickets, no guarantee of sight.
Yeah.
If you can believe that. So
I do.
Paying, I don't know if it was like $5 or $10. They were paying to just come into the building, which we didn't do that early on, I don't think. But it got to the point where so many people were being turned away at the door. We were just letting people. So there were more people in the building too. But yeah, that was deafening. I mean, come on.
That was crazy. Just bang the earphones off. And by the way, let also mention, maybe if you went to an ECW Arena show, you knew 1-2 matches that were even going to be on the card.
Exactly. You came not knowing. We only gave away a couple matches. Per show. So, and I'll tell you what, matches were usually on a napkin. And then one of the refs would take the napkin and write it on a piece of paper and tape it to the wall. And then you just go up to them and you look, oh, okay, I'm here. All right, good.
That's great.
That's how it went.
I love that. God, I love ECW. Damn it, that's so cool.